Good afternoon. I'm First Warn 5 meteorologist Mike Nicco. Oh, is it kind of soupy out there for September? We're talking temperatures that are pushing into the 90s this afternoon, heat index values in the low to mid 90s. And what does that mean for us? A chance of strong thunderstorms. There's a small chance, about 1 in 5 of those becoming severe with some gusty winds. So we're going to talk about that. Also, 2 more chances of impactful weather coming at you. Moving into tomorrow and also moving into Thursday. So for today, a few. They're scattered. It's about a 40% chance of those afternoon thunderstorms, but we are under that risk of some gusty 60-mile-per-hour winds. 50-60% chance of storms tomorrow. Some of those could be strong, especially if the temperature gets up to 86. Some models are saying it could be up around 88. So it's going to be another warm to hot and humid day. And with a cold front nearing, that could spark some strong storms. And then Thursday, we're on the backside of that. More showers. There could be some intermittent thunderstorms embedded in there, but we're not expecting anything strong out of that. 79 degrees. That's a little bit closer to where we should be for this time of year. So you can see the transition back to more fall-like weather. It's definitely going to be a bumpy road for some of us. Now, it's not going to be wet all the time. There's definitely going to be some dry times for you to get outside and do some activities. But, you know, when these pop up in the afternoon and early evening hours, which most pulse-type heat-driven storms do, you know, a lot of us like to be out there before the sun sets because it's setting earlier and earlier and earlier. I think it sets at 7:26 or 7:25 today. All right, so let's talk about the severe risk. We talked about this yesterday. I saw the ingredients, thought maybe we would be put into a marginal, and sure enough, we were about an hour and a half ago when the Storm Prediction Center issued their latest advisory for today. So if you're in that green, that's where you have the best chance of one of those thunderstorms producing those 60-mile-per-hour winds. Right now, the radar, you can see it's very quiet. We just haven't reached the temperature yet that we need to get enough buoyancy in the atmosphere for these thunderstorms to develop. And without a jet stream over top of us, they have no upper level energy, so they will rain themselves out, kind of like they did last night. But when they rain themselves out, they put down a gust front or you know, an outflow boundary, if you will, and that could spark some other storms. So we could see that chain of events happening again during the afternoon, early evening hours. And that's why I widened the first warn just a little bit from 6 o'clock to about 9 o'clock. In fact, I delayed the onset just a little bit. I still think we have a chance of some isolated storms around 4 or 5, but I think they'll be more impactful from about 6, 7 to 8, and then they'll start falling apart after 9 o'clock and then 10 o'clock. They're mainly over unless some of those outflow boundaries get active once again. So let's take a look at the current conditions. It is 90 already. It feels like 90. That's not bad. We got a west-southwest wind at 7. Earlier it was out of the south-southwest and it was a little more humid. So just that little difference in direction can mean the difference between it feeling like the temperature and feeling actually warmer than the temperature, which I think we'll get to later this afternoon. So we're at 90. I think 92, 93 is not out of the question this afternoon, especially with all that sunshine that we're dealing with. So a pop-up storm is possible, very rare, 20% all the way through 3 o'clock. Then we've got that 30 for 4 and 5. So picking the kids up from school, afternoon activities, more impacted by the heat and the humidity than by the chance of some storms. So let me show you what's going on. Look at all that sunshine. This is future radar at 2 o'clock, so a little less, so about 40 minutes from now. And you'll see the clouds start to develop as we get into the heat of the day. 5 o'clock, you can see just one lone storm out there, maybe another in Benton County, way down there in the southeast. That's why we have a 20 to 30% chance. And then as we head into the latter parts of the, earlier parts of the evening hours, you can see some storms pop up by about 9, 10 o'clock. They're gone. It's just not a very strong indication that we'll see a lot of storms. When you have these pulse type of storms, there's just nothing that really can keep them ongoing. Once that rain gets so heavy in the top of the storm and it comes down, it just collapses the entire storm. And that's when we could get those gusty winds. So we've got that first warn from 6, 7, 8, 9 at the latest. Temperatures drop from about 90 at 5 o'clock to 77. Still warm for this time of the year at 9 o'clock. In fact, our average high is about 79. So you can see during the evening, we're still going to be warmer than that for a few hours. Now let's transition to the next 2 first warns. Wednesday is going to start dry. We've got off and on rounds of storms. More than likely Thursday we may see a couple. There's a possibility Wednesday we could see a couple. And I'll show you that in a second. But again, many dry hours between when these storms come through. So waking up Wednesday morning, clouds are gone, sun shines out once again. We're starting in the mid to upper 60s, well warmer than average. We should be in the upper 50s. All that sunshine is going to push us up into the upper 80s. But unlike today, the storms are going to come in a little earlier, and I think that's going to cap our heating around 86 degrees. And you can see they pop a little earlier. Here we are at 1 o'clock, and we're already looking at about a 40% chance right there. So the storms not only pop earlier tomorrow, but they have a lot more coverage. And you can see there's a little bit of red in there. It's kind of iffy tomorrow. There's still signs that there's a possibility we could have some gusty winds out of these. Severe, maybe. I am seeing some signs that these will be pretty strong to possibly severe, but it'll be very isolated. And if we get put under a risk, it'll be another 1 out of 5 like we have today. But I just want to let you know that, yeah, there's definitely the possibility that we could have some gusty winds out of these. And you can see, wow, they get really intense as we head into the 3, 4, and 5 o'clock hour. So they're going to push through right as school ends. They're going to push through right as the commute begins. So that's why these are going to be a little bit more disruptive, because they're more numerous in the timing. Now, once they pass, that will be the initial strongest line, most widespread line, but there's a few isolated storms that could pop up again in the late evening into the early overnight hours, mainly east of Kansas City. Waking up Thursday, cloud cover, changing of the air mass taking over as the temperatures are going to drop into the 70s on Thursday. Now, the kind of breakdown today or tomorrow temperature-wise, waking up at 66, 77 noon, but notice the cloud cover moving in faster, the storms building faster, taking all that heat. We'll only make it up to about the mid, some of us in the upper 80s. But the first warn for those strongest storms from about 1 o'clock to about 4 o'clock, you could probably stretch it into 5 o'clock. You maybe even know to pull it back to noon, especially in eastern Kansas. But right now we're going to go from about 1 to 4 for the Kansas City area. Here's a look at Thursday. There's still enough energy around Thursday morning. We could have some showers and some thunderstorms. Anytime you see some red and orange in there, that's a good indication that we could have some thunderstorms. But as we head into the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock hour, those kind of fade away, and the next storms kind of push through northwest Missouri, northeast Kansas. That's the way it looks right now. Some of those could have a little bit of thunder in them also, but I'm not expecting any threat of severe weather on Thursday. Notice around Kansas City, you know it's a big day here at KCTV5 on Thursday as we relight our tower, that icon, that symbol in the sky that I know when I was coming to see my grandmother in Leavenworth, anytime we saw that, we know we're at least getting closer. We were getting closer. So this is the look at about 9 o'clock. Ooh, dodging that one, right? Clouds open up, maybe partly cloudy, no chance of rain. I sure hope this model's correct. I'm banking on it. I want to make the gentleman in the corner office, gentlemen, happy along with everybody else here, because we do not want it to rain on that special event. It's a milestone event for us. I mean, it's really something that we're proud of here at KCTV5. All right, so let's talk about rain totals. Wherever you see the blue, we're starting to get into 3/4 of an inch. Where you see the lighter blue to the purple, that's where we're getting into an inch, maybe even 1.5 inches to 2 inches. It just depends on how many of these waves of storms roll across your neighborhood, because this is for the rain potential all the way through Friday. So we're down a little over 5 inches. Is 1/4 to 3/4 of an inch going to help? Yes. Is it going to stop the drought? No. Even if we get a little over an inch, it's going to help, believe me. We've all seen what the lack of rain has been doing to our farms, our gardens, our yards, the trees. This will definitely help alleviate the stress in the short term. But if we don't receive any more rain after this, then it's just going to delay the inevitable. But I'm banking on still having some more rain chances as we get a little bit deeper. Now, the temperature, as you can see, is going to be a little bit different as we head into Thursday, 79. That's why I'm expecting just maybe an isolated thunderstorm or two and nothing severe. And then Friday, we're at 78. That storm system is going to sit to the north and just spin. And it's going to spin chunks of energy through our atmosphere. And trying to time those, it's not easy. Cutoff lows for weather enthusiasts out there, as you know, models do not handle them well because they have no steering currents. They just kind of sit and spin on their own momentum, and they throw chunks of energy our way, and they really don't have a lot of moisture with them. They have to bring it over land to get to us. So that's why there's only a 30% on Thursday, 20 on Saturday, probably a better day for outdoor activities. And that's good. Got a lot of football games going on. Got one in Columbia, also one in Lawrence. I'm trying to remember where K-State does this weekend. I'm sorry, I don't remember offhand, but I will definitely check and make sure I have that in my next update. And then Sunday, Monday, we're looking at low to mid 80s. Still a little bit warmer than average, especially when astronomical fall starts around 1:30 Monday afternoon. Wanted to give you just a quick look at today. Again, 91. Our average last 90-degree high is today, and it's the last one in the forecast. Now, we've had them as late as October 30th in 1950. We've had 90-degree temperatures that late. Will this be the last one of the year? Yeah, I'm not so sure. We're looking at a warmer than average October, end of September and October. Of course, November doesn't matter. We've never had a 90 in November, but it's looking warmer than average also. So I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 90 maybe one more time this year. All right, so there's a look at your Security Bank 7-day forecast. A lot of rumbles of thunder, a lot of dry areas, but just be careful tonight, tomorrow afternoon and evening, and again Thursday for those couple of rounds of showers and thunderstorms that roll on through. So I hope we got you prepared for that. Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you again soon.